I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. As a quiet extension of what I'm sharing here, you may have heard me speak about the architecture series. These books are now available for those who feel ready to go deeper. The architecture of light, the architecture of future medicine, the architecture of the living ethos, the architecture of peace, the architecture of karma, the architecture of sisterhood. Alongside these, 2 trilogy volumes brings the series together. The Architecture of Life, Trilogy 1, and The Architecture of Humanity, Trilogy 2. Each book explores a different aspect of how life organizes itself when survival patterns are no longer in control, and a new architecture begins to emerge. If you feel resonance, you can find them on Lulu and on my websites, divinedesign.it and anpeggydivine.com. Namaste. Welcome, Peter Barker from Australia to this Divine Design podcast.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we have seen each other for some months, but we haven't spoken directly to each other until I think it is a month ago or some week ago. I'm out of time, kind of. But I remember we had a meeting in Colin's group, and I had a download. I had spoken to a soul, and I asked this, so I need help for the English version. And you were very interesting and asking me questions. And then I said, well, maybe you want to read this Wealth Smarts. And you said yes. And we have connected. We have done regression together. We have gone deep into Wealth Smart, go deep into our stories, because we have a lot of similarity, and most people have. But was not a coincidence that me and you work on this project together. And you channel as I do. And this is evening for you, and it's morning for me because we are on the opposite. But this day when you woke up, you had a download. So maybe you can open with this download, because it was like a message for everyone.
Yes. So I suppose it's not so much for if our topic's going to be about the wealth merge. It's not so much about that. It's more it's a general. I'll read through it. It'll make more sense as I go through it. But it was so strong when it came through, as I explained earlier, that afterwards, I basically had to lie down for an hour and a half and have a snooze. It was very strong. It sort of drained the energy out of me, type of thing. Anyway, I'll get started, and so as I said, it's for anyone who's going to listen to this. I suppose anyone who sees this podcast it's a message. So it starts with, as Mother Earth ascends back up through the gateway, everyone on the planet with her is also ascending, and we're becoming more open and more light. And that creates a few, not so much problems, but things to be aware of. So they then referred to all the world's a stage. So the famous quote I think it's out of Hamlet, is it? William Shakespeare's Hamlet. So all the world's a stage, and we're all actors on that stage. So we've come into these physical bodies, and we're playing parts as kings and queens and beggars and and all sorts of things over many lifetimes.
Yeah.
So we're actors on a stage. And it says, so here is a lesson. So you might call it a lesson, you might call it a reminder. They couldn't really put the word, the idea that was coming through into a word. So they've um, landed on, so here's a lesson, something for us all to strongly and discerningly consider in our silent moments. So when we're quiet and got some peaceful time, you may even consider it to be a reading from the book of wisdom. So they're trying to sort of formulate, well, what are they calling this? So a reading from the book of wisdom. So as actors on a stage, there's a very fine line between shining your light to the audience. So that's all the people around us, but they're giving us the scenario of we're up on a stage. So there's a very fine line between shining your light to the audience and being in the spotlight. The first part, shining your light, comes from the inside and it shines outward. So our light starts inside us and spreads outward. And as it spreads out, the darkness begins to fade, especially for the people around us. So we can walk through a room and that light that we just bring just by being present and being who we are as a lighted being um, helps spread light to other people so that they can now be more in the light themselves and even ignite their own sparks of light. Uh, it says that this energy of light coming from the inside is a feminine energy and it's a giving energy. So as we're just being present and allowing our light to shine to people, it's a giving energy to them.
Yeah.
And in that giving, you receive back from who you're giving to.
Yeah.
The second side of that fine line, they're saying, being in the spotlight, is light that's coming from the outside in. It's the one focused light that's on you and thus leaving those around you in the darkness. It's a masculine energy and it's more about receiving. So I think the message of what they're saying is be very wary of I'll go on. So when you're shining your light, being in the spotlight is almost unavoidable. Just shining your light, people are going to be drawn to you. And
Yeah.
so it's like there's a spotlight on you. And they're saying, yet do not crave the spotlight or inside without intentionally doing it, create a Messiah complex as Jesus was very much in the spotlight, for instance.
Yeah.
But he didn't crave that spotlight. It was just who he was, doing what he does and spreading his light. He had no choice. It was unavoidable. A spotlight was on him from basically the whole world, and it's gone on for years and years. So it goes on then. A quote came up, to be or not to be. So another quote from Shakespeare. I'm not quite sure what that one's from. And it's sort of re-emphasizing the being on the stage and the acting, but it's also bringing in the B scenario, which is in your Will Schmertz book that you started with. And then the next quote says, so to be or not to be, and then it says, let it be. Just allow your light to shine in quiet and humility. And then they've given some homework for anyone who hears this, which follows this lesson up. So, as hard as it is in being a person in the light and trying to enlighten yourself more so, be aware that the spotlight is also there, and it's if you can help it, don't crave the spotlight. It's going to happen anyway. It's sort of unavoidable, they're saying. But one is a more giving light, just being in your light, and one is more a receiving light, if you're craving being in the spotlight. The first homework they've given is, um, oh, and the quote from a song kept coming to me at this stage, and it was, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste." And that's what they're saying. And that's the song that it comes from is called Desiderata, Desiderata, Desiderata. I think it was a song back in the 60s or early 70s. And I'm pretty sure it starts with that quote, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste." It'll make more sense to anyone who looks it up in Spotify or wherever you look up your songs and just have a listen to that song.
Yeah.
It's more a spoken song, it's more a poem, um, but it hits right on the message that they were talking about and trying to get through. It then says, so we are talking about the ego, the small mind, and we're talking about vanity. Be humble, but knowing. So you can be wise and knowing as long as you're humble about it. You walk uh, amongst your people and enlightening people with humility is what they were trying to get through. And they said, be humble, but knowing, here is wisdom. Here is coherence. And that's the name of the painting that's behind me, Coherence. And then the second part of the homework, so homework part 2, is look up the halls of Amenti, Amenti, the halls of Amenti. And rather than me explaining anything about it, it's better that people look it up themselves and it'll either register with them or not. So that's mostly what came through today. Um, and then I had to go and have a lie down.
Yeah, and
Very strong.
yeah, and I think I have gone into because singer, creative people, this is how their song come through them. This is how everything come true. So sometimes it is music, sometimes it is a picture we just have to get out that you're painting, and sometimes it is a channeling. And yeah, so we are going kind of from the program mind that think that it's know how it's supposed to be to just open up to a bigger source that informs us in another way.
I think that was the message. Step out of your own way. Allow, if you can, the little mind, the ego mind, to just be quietly under control
Yeah,
and allow what's going to come through. And that's where wisdom is actually coming from, where we open up, um, to a higher source, which is the higher mind, which is consciousness. Everything is mind and everything is consciousness, and allow that to come through. And I suppose that's what, if you're religious, it's what Jesus was all about in dying the death that he did.
yeah,
Um, it's equivalent to us dying to our little mind that wants everything and wants to control everything and is demanding, and we're sort of at war with that little mind,
yeah,
if you can understand that. And that's why meditating and quietening the mind is so very difficult,
yeah.
because this little mind is so strong. Hmm.
Yeah, it is very strong, and that's kind of the key for everything because we learn very early to protect, and we learn to be in our head. And then our journey from the head to the heart start. And that's the most difficult journey of them. And I was in it for 6 years from 2013, 14, 16, 17, 18, and it ended in 31st of December 2018 and 1st of January 2019. For 2 days, I was in bliss. I was just in heaven. It was kind of, ah, can we live from this state? I was there for 2 days, so I was reborn. So I had gone through all the pattern through this life and also past life because I was born with a heart defect. I had a hole in my heart, and that was something I had taken with me from past life, and it was a deep grief. So I was actually born with deep grief. So I have signed up for this life to go through it all. So I was had pre-planned a lot of trauma. I'm a wounded healer, so a wounded healer choose a path that it has to be wounded to go so dark deep, so you find your own medicine. But that's the hardest part for most people because we are so deeply programmed being in head protect 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 protect, so we go from one paradigm to another paradigm, but all in the mind. I have interviewed several that have taken my courses and has been on ceremony here, and I remember one of them saying for more than 40 years she had gone to so many programs, and she said all of this was almost wasted because I had all the program here. All. So it's it feels like it's harder for me because there were several people in a group, and she was, yeah, she had done this for so many years, and she said, I all what you are saying, all what you are learning, because it is going through the heart. But I go first to this monkey mind because I'm programmed with so many programs. So that's it feels like it's more difficult for me because I all the time go to my head when it is so simple then open the heart. But when we say it is simple, it isn't so simple because when we are programmed, it is kind of deprogramming something isn't like a quick fix. It is a totally trust, it total surrender. So the surrender part is hard for several. And I also, when I mention it, I remember, I think it was 10, 15 years ago, I think it was 7 women that was in a gathering together. And it was a deep wisdom that we were told how to do things. And I remember one of the women, she just shifted and then she owned the wisdom. And I was still in my mental mind. So why can she shift so radically? Because she didn't need to go to this intellectual loop. So I learned so much from that. Oh, because I needed to understand everything in detail. And if we live with a program that said, I need to understand everything in detail, I need to control everything I need here. This is the most sophisticated. Yes, but yeah. But anyhow, it is a wisdom beyond the, even though everything is mind. I agree. But when we add this body, this avatar and all, even though everything is mind, it is a surrendering to another intelligence as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's about the consciousness and the energy. And a lot of us born from the 1940s, after the war, 1940 onwards, through to 1965-ish type of thing, all, for one reason or other, had our hearts shut down, or some sort of trauma which shut them down. And whether that was being in the war or being born, just after the war and all the depression and, people out of work and all of that sort of thing,
Yep.
people being displaced and going to different countries. Um, and, and it's a lot of the reason why we were born into this lifetime at that stage in between those years, 1945 to 1965. And it's something Edgar Casey talks about as well. And it says anyone born in that era has a special mission, and that mission is happening now. And that basically is being going through all the things that we've been gone through in growing up, and bit by bit opening the heart. We came in to do this job, so that opening of the heart around the world with everyone from that age group is changing the consciousness and the energy of the planet,
Yep.
and it's helping Mother Earth ascend, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a
and
very important job.
yeah, it is. When we have connected and gone deep, we see that, oh, we have a lot of similarity. Both of us have really felt the wealth smash. All of people have felt it, but it is different ways of feeling it. And you shared something about your way because you experienced a lot of hardship being a child, as I did. And I don't know if you are supposed to go into the wealth smash. Do you want to share something about your wealth smash, or?
Well, just my story's different than yours, but there'll be, millions of different stories around the world that are all saying the same thing, but with different stories
Yeah.
because being the different actors that we came in. I myself, I just grew up. Um, my mum committed suicide very young when I was 5 years old, and I was put in an orphanage, split apart from my two sisters who went into a different orphanage. And then while we were in there in the first couple of years, my real father committed suicide as well. So I grew up sort of by myself.
Yeah.
But in that journey, uh, that's the journey that made me who I am now.
Yes.
It's the forming of the metal that you become to sort of the alchemy that happens. Um, and this is where I am now at the moment, and a completely different person than what we were back then.
Yeah. 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 And it's so significant what you said. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I haven't experienced all the suffering and all the pain, because we have really felt pain in a deep layer. And through all this pain, we value life in another way. We kind of, I'm I just every morning, oh, I'm living. I'm grateful every day. I think life is such, it is a miracle just by itself. Everything is a miracle. Everything is amazing. So because we have experienced the polarity, so we value life in another way, and we meet people in another way. So it is not wasted to feel pain.
No, certainly not. And what I'm hearing again right now is I'm being sort of pushed with the halls of a mentee thing is, and what they're sort of saying, they don't want me to say too much because they want people to look it up, and but they're basically, to give a summation, is it's an etherical layer above our lifetimes, and we keep going through. It's where we get back up to then, if we haven't reached a certain stage of wisdom and light, then we karmically come back down and live another lifetime. And that's that the layer of the halls of our mentee is what we need to go through to ascend and fully embody. And it's the main reason we came down to this planet, is what I'm being told, to achieve that. And over these years, we've been doing that bit by bit by bit. And that's why our heart centers are opening up more and more. And we're getting a lot of assistance now from elsewhere, we'll
Yep.
say,
Yep.
and a lot of energy coming through to help with that job. And the karma cycle, I believe, is starting to come to an end.
Yep. It is. Yeah. I have channeled the same, and it was shown me that I have written a book about karma, and the way we have thought about karma is totally different than when we have gone through all this with all this pain coming up, because we are in a transforming from, I call it from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. Someone call it from being animal to being kind of more enlightened. But anyhow, we have lived as Homo sapiens, kind of like animals, kind of, because we have been so much in our shadow and just reacted. And it is because all the structure and everything on earth that has happened. But now all of us are invited in to live as in the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is the same as Homo luminous. So it is a totally new, and then we see karma because we have grown through karma. But then karma becomes kind of our strength, because our gifts, because we know that each soul have gifts. So we use the karma, what we have learned from so many lives and beyond physical life, then we use this as our innate gifts. Like I also call it the Ubuntu, because then we know that all of us come bring in gifts to the society, to the family, and everything. So we will see karma in a total different way when we have gone through this.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And it's now about living where we're living so much from our head space, is what you were saying,
Yeah.
to becoming now living more from your heart center is what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I did it all these years, it's kind of because I remember I was shown kind of, I know my path. And I had that choice in the beginning of 2019. It was kind of, I could go fast and just do the thing I was supposed to do. Or I could wait till my partner, my children, and my surroundings also was ready. And I thought, I cannot, because I could, because we are kind of, we have choices, everything. So this that I saw, this autumn, what I saw in the beginning of 2019, because now my husband is ready, my children, even though my daughter is in a deep hero's journey, she actually understand me better than my husband and the other siblings, because it, I don't know if I, yeah, she does, because we are both more highly sensitive than the other. All of us are highly sensitive, but being so deep in the wounded healer and the kind of the pain, it does something. And when I say it, because I know that my husband have gone through the same on his term, um, but it does something with you going through this pain.
Certainly. Yep. I'm the same, and I'm coming to the end of my career as a teacher. Finally, this is my last semester, so my last half of the year is about to start. So I think then I'll finally have the opportunity to get more fully into the poetry that's coming through and the writing and these sacred geometrical paintings, which I've got 20 years worth of, probably 25 years worth of them, all in the cupboard back here behind me, just sitting there waiting for what do we do with them.
Yeah, and you showed it on the screen for me, and then you showed it in the natural size. It's like, wow, because show it in the screen, it could be like this, but they are big. So, and this, the one behind you is your latest, and I have seen the steps towards it, and it's fascinating because when you shared it on the screen first time, this and other one, it felt like it was small, and now I have seen the last one. I have followed the steps, and it is so much bigger, and it's so layered. So it has been fascinating to follow your journey with this painting.
Yes, I've got probably three or four others in there that are they get to a stage. I think I get spoon-fed stuff um, over a time, and then it sort of goes quiet for a bit. So I've got one sitting out there. It's called the Breath of Life, and it's been sitting there for quite a while. And I'm wondering, well, what's happening with that? So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see where that goes.
you should put up a website, because and also show the size, because when you have a website, that was stick with me, because you showed me a lot of painting and then you showed me the real size, and it's like, wow. So yeah, to show it. And also you remember I gave you feedback to how to get movement in it, because painting can be activation, it can open us, and as you said, this is coherence.
I'll have to find out how to make a website. I haven't even gone down that track as yet and put some stuff up there somewhere. I don't know whether I get the feeling they're for sale as yet. They've got some purpose, but it's not um, being presented to me just yet what that is for. And I knew quite strongly back, 20 years ago when I first started doing them, and these extraordinary geometries started coming through, and I'm like, wow, where's that come from? And what do I do with that now? Do I sell it? And I had a very strong sense of no, don't sell them yet. Anyway, that's not the purpose of them, and that purpose will present itself at some stage, I suppose.
Yeah, but that is an interesting theme because sacred geometry. Because also when I started to open more and more, it came so much sacred geometry. It was like, wow, what is all this sacred geometry? And I started to talk about it, and several listeners said, we have no clue what you are talking about, because it is. But the more that we understand sacred geometry, because we will understand sacred geometry in a radical new way, because mathematics, when we teach this at school, we will go deeper into geometry, because this is another layer, because it is the human mathematics. So we will understand, and as you also have mentioned, the semiotics, if we use sound, we see the pattern. It is sacred geometry. It's kind of like, if you have sand or stone in kind of a plate, and it's like, and we see all this
Yes.
pattern that kind of, and this is what is happening inside our body with sound and with light. So both sound and light is healing our body. So the more we understand sacred geometry, we will understand more medicine, because sacred geometry is medicine.
Yes, yeah, and that's what these paintings are about. There, the word that was put with them was radionics of a type, um, not specifically radionics, because I think they're machines that send out certain frequencies or radiances. Psionics is another word which is attached to them. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go and what happens with them, because some of the paintings um, I've got on there are to do with, like, one's to do with depression, which I had to uh, paint it firstly and then scan that in and put it on the screen and somehow or other get it to spin. So I put that into a PowerPoint presentation where it was spinning, and they explained that the colors and the mathematical pattern that's on there will somehow or other help depression. So that's just sitting in the cupboard again, still waiting. See where that goes.
But I know that I have worked with several people that has been in depression or have been in transforming their life from the ordinary to kind of awakening, like I have been. And I see that a lot of them actually start to paint. They have never painted. It's kind of almost strange to them, but they buy pencil and just start. And some of them, it's like they have showed me what they have done. It's like, oh my god, what comes through them. It is kind of, and my daughter also, she had never, being in her hero's journey, she started to show. I remember first time she showed one of the picture, and we thought that this was a bought one, because it had, no, that can't be, because it was like a professional doing its thing for 30 years. So we just thought that she was joking, and then we understand that she really had done it herself. And then she showed more and more, and we were, what is happening? Where do you have that? Because I'm not a painter, not her father. It's like, wow. But that is fascinating. And also several in the course I do start to paint, and magic thing come true. Like you also, you use sacred geometry. The most other, I haven't seen so much sacred geometry. It's more natural. It's kind of, they are painting something, and it's like a mirror on, they are painting. It's kind of so precise.
Yes, yes. And I don't intend to do them. I just sit down and draw for a day. I get the feeling to sit down and do a drawing, and this, yeah, intricate design comes through, and then some words will come through with it. And so, for instance, this one, coherence is the word. And what I'm getting a lot, like you're talking about the mathematics, I'm getting a lot of, they show me information bit by bit by bit, because it's so much.
It
There's
is.
one tiny little painting, but it's just so much. It's so the numbers, the numbers 369 are coming through very strongly with this coherence, and it was what Nikola Tesla, in looking it up, I sort of Google what's 369, the frequencies of 369, and what's that? Because well, the stuff that came through was just volumes and volumes. Nikola Tesla said, "Understand the 369, and you understand the universe.
Yeah.
It's the key to the universe." So I have to look more into that and see, well, what's the 369? I think it has to do more with the um, three different sets of rings that are there up the top, the the top chakra. I'm seeing them as chakras type of thing. And anyway,
Yeah, and when you painted that in the beginning, I really saw the human being in it, like the head and I still see it,
yes.
but it has changed. But I still see the human being in coherence in that picture.
Mm, mm, yeah, it's a yes. The human beings in there as well as the ethereal. So it's more about the human being, but the real ethereal, energetic human being more so than the little down into inside that being the physical being. Mm.
Yeah. And now I just something popped in my mind because you wrote to me about a phenomenon that is happening in Australia and it is also happening in Norway about teacher and the wealth smart young people are caring and special because being a teacher today is much harder than it was 30 years ago because there are so many that need special treatment. The young today are carrying so much pain, so much uh, different things. So it is hard to be a teacher. Can you say something about that? Being a teacher.
Yeah, that like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have had in your class. You might have one or two um, that needed had special needs. But nowadays there's well over half of every class that is on what we call over here the NCCD list, which is sort of a list of disability, whether that is autism or Asperger's, ADHD, OCD, and all of these disabilities, whether they're cognitive disability or learning disabilities of one sort or another, or behavioural disabilities. We log them all in together,
Yep.
and it's just so many now that it's
Yep.
almost uncontrollable.
Yep.
And the thing is, these kids are being born um, into an energy that is just not. They're coming in with a higher frequency, a higher energy,
Yep.
and fitting into our lower energy that's here, even though it's slowly changing.
Yep.
They've come in. They've come in to change it.
Yep.
They're helping. They've come in at this time to upset the apple cart of what was and change it into what it's becoming,
Yep.
type of thing.
Yep. Because our school system will radically change and and we need so we see it kind of as a crisis and we want everyone to fit still in Norway we kind of we make new plans from the old mind but it needs a radical new way of understanding because they are actually wiser than us so we need to listen what because they are holding pieces of the new puzzles all of them are functioning in a higher way they have higher consciousness and they if we listen to them they will bring of gifts to the new system.
Certainly. And they're breaking the system of like our education system, what was really no longer applies. Um, we put them into a square box and
Yeah.
everyone is the same.
Yep.
And you sit this way and you learn this way. And that's just not, everyone's different. And that's what we're finding with all these kids coming in. Everyone has their own special needs. They've got their own colors of energy and the education system has to completely, radically change
Yep.
for these kids to learn properly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it required of us being teachers and being with children and teenager, it required that we are aligned. We need to be aligned in ourselves, and we have to become field holders. I call it field holders because when we need to be regulated, if I'm a teacher and my heart is closed, this is actually damaging the children. So living from closed heart, because when we talk about diseases and imbalances, it is a closed heart because it starts with a closing heart and then we get a lot of symptoms. And living with an open heart, kind of from this, but living with a radical open heart, then we are regulated. So we hold the field. So all people that work with children need to be live it from a radical open heart. So the education system need to change.
Mm, for sure. Yeah. I actually, I did, I left the school, the education system for a short while and was working with the street kids, kids that live in the street,
Ah,
kids that don't go to school,
yeah.
long term out of school. We call them street kids over in Australia. That they're just no education really. They're wandering the streets and living under bridges. And there used to be two girls there that would hop on a train at the end of the day, and they'd ride that train to where it stopped, and then they'd hop another one, and they'd ride the trains until it stopped at night, and they'd sleep on that train, and then they'd find their way back the next day. you know. But in that system with those kids, teaching the street kids, that was more about letting them educate themselves. We gave them the program. I came up with programs for them, um, and put that into a booklet. And rather than me standing there and teaching them, being this authoritarian person up the front, it was, here's your work, you follow through, and they taught themselves. And they learned a really great deal that way,
Wow.
without the structures of being in this box and this is what I have to do, and so on. Yeah.
That's amazing, Peter. That's amazing that you could do that. They actually, even though they didn't come to school, they kind of, you brought the program to them. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was with a government program called Barwon Youth, because Barwon is our area here. And so the youth, that the street kids would come, it was a place for them to go, and they felt they could. And they needed a person with educational experience. And so I put my hand up for that. And it was for 3 years. It was very, very difficult work because these kids were so traumatized, and had so many difficulties in life. And what they had to go through was just horrific. So it gave them a place to be able to come and be able to learn and get an educational certificate, which was equivalent to what we'd give them at school.
Yeah.
Um, the learning was a lot lower, obviously, but it really helped them out. Problem with those programs is, um, they depend on government funding, and every 6 months you had to reapply for the funding, and then the program got shut down. They decided not to fund it anymore. So after 3 years, I went back to school.
But if we have to think in another way, because this program was amazing. I'm so glad that you shared it because what you did, you are preventing criminality. You are also kind of, we have to see long term, just going on there where they are, giving them some tools, because this is giving them some tools, because we will see it in another kind of budget, because they are being criminal, they are being going into drugs and things, because we know that. So it's kind of, they shut down what is most important. It's tragic.
They don't have the mentors, and they're left to their own devices without proper mentors. They're just completely off the rails. Yeah, so it was very hard. I was the longest serving one in the program with 3 years. I think the average lifetime of the teachers coming in was 6 months. So I think I did a pretty good job staying that long.
Wow. Well, but that 3 year had to do something with you, and you are the perfect person to do, because you also have felt welt on your body, maybe more than other teachers. Maybe that's why you had this stamina, you had this light in you, so you could be in that. It was not a coincidence, as we know.
No, no, I think I was drawn to it for a reason for sure. Yeah, it's just a pity that those programs, governments come and go, and the funding's not there, and boom, it's gone. The kids are straight back out in the street. You know.
But just us talking about it, because I had no idea that you had worked with this. This just popped up. So, and I don't know if we have this kind of program in Norway. So now, since I know, I will check, do we have this in Norway? Do they have this in Sweden, in Denmark, in the Nordic country? And all of us, the listener also are invited, check out your country. How does this, because all country have, most, I will think that most country have, even though I know that Norway doesn't have so many of them, because we have a child protective service system. And I have worked with
Yes.
people that in this system, and they have education. So actually I don't think that, well, sometimes it just I know several that don't go to school because it's about anxiety and all what we have spoken about, but they aren't living on the street. I don't think that anyone in Norway are living on the street, because we are a
Yeah.
country that, yeah, we have so much support system, that I don't, but I will go deeper
Yes.
into it since you just bring it up.
For sure. Now, it was a really good program because the education department part component that I was part of as a teacher, they had a social worker department connected to it. So each kid was also attached not only to the education and the teachers, but also to the social workers who would help them with their court cases and all their legal sort of things that were happening all the time, and helping them get off their drugs and that sort of thing. And then there was another department, which was the housing department, which would help them try and find some housing for them. And so there was all these little departments together trying to work with these street kids. And just such a pity it shuts down because of funding.
Yeah.
So beneficial.
Yeah, and we also need to remember, because all these children, if we, whatever we call it, if they sleep on the street or it is a signal of the society. It is something they are signaling, something that it can be their family and mother or father, and it can be a lot of things, but they are signals. Most often they are highly sensitive, because highly sensitive people have really struggled to be at school because they absorb it all and they get sick of it. So but they are so important signals, and you know it because you have gone into the Wealth Match book, and kind of about Tim Bergling. He was a big signal. He actually, in his song, SOS, SOS, and he was highly sensitive. And the last album, he had 12 songs in his last album, and if you listen to them as we have done, particularly 5 of them, it is a so important signal to what is happening, and this is in Sweden.
Yes, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, these kids were all very highly sensitive, like you say, and that's why they wouldn't go to school. They would, for one reason or other, they were scared, they were picked on, they were bullied. Um, you know, they just didn't fit in, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, mm,
Yeah. And as you say, also, we see that more and more now. We see in half classes, kind of, half the class cannot fit in. So it's kind of, it started 1 or 2 in a class, and now it is half. So it is telling us that something is going on.
that's right, for sure. Yeah, and the amount of kids that um, aren't even showing up to school is the other side of that too. They just won't come to school because um, high anxiety and you know all sorts of issues. That's a statistic that's really skyrocketed as well.
Yeah.
Kids that just absentees from school. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we now I remember something. A friend of mine told me a month ago about her daughter and about a school they will build not so long from Tromsø, and it is a school that you can be from late teenager until you are, I think it's 40 or 50, and it is everyone in Norway that hasn't had these 3 last year in school, they just fell out and they had no education. So you can be 40 and go to this school, and I think it takes 200. So this is a radical new school, and it will be a lot of adult meeting you in a new way. And they have had a pilot school like this, and people that are 30 or 40 go for a year and get kind of a foundation, and they said it changed my life radically, just 1 year in this pilot school. So it is happening a lot of radically things in system like school.
Yes.
So we are having more
Yeah.
and more of this.
Fantastic.
So I don't think that we have children on the street, but several, even 30 years ago, couldn't do the school. They were also highly sensitive. So now they have a chance. They have been on other programs because they never could manage it, and now they are giving after 30 years some, and some can go straight from these 3 years go into this school. So it is already happening because we see that we need this.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, there's so many that these kids get preyed on by the criminal elements in Australia anyway. I don't know how they get in touch with them, but the kids are running around the streets firebombing shops for these criminals, and carrying machetes and doing things, and they'll pay these kids for a bit of money to go and firebomb a shop or rob cars or um, type of thing they're being preyed on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why
because
we
they've got
understand. Yeah.
nowhere else to go.
Yeah, and that's why we understand that program that the government support are so important, because we see that, okay, then we will see it in another department or another, because they become criminals, because they also have to survive, and then the only thing that is there for it is criminal paying them to do thing they don't want to do it, but they don't see any choice.
No, that's right. Yeah, they see it as their life, their way forward.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it was yeah, being a teacher, I know it is not the easiest part, and particularly for children. And I have a lot of children in therapy, and that's a different thing because I have them one to one, and then they open up, and they some of them haven't been to school, so I work with them one to one. But that's totally different than being a teacher in a school with having 13 children there.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a little bit over the adolescent energy. It's time. Time is telling me it's time to move on to something else, something a little more laid back. Mm.
Yeah, but I just saw one of the people I work with, and I remember meeting her when she was so dark. She never saw me in the eyes. She was so dark, and she was she was in the criminal environment, and it kind of, and I it was me talking because she tuk, tuk, tuk. But now it is going so amazing. So, and she was so wise, but it was a reason why she were there. So as therapist, as teacher, it's only one voice that changed it, because now they use her in different system because she has been so low. And she was with me, and after that she started the upward spiral, and then when she came the second time, she saw me in the eyes. And yeah, seeing these changes in the youth, it is because it can change very fast.
Mm. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but teachers have such an important role. Oh, it is so important. So we need to do something with the education system from teachers, because this is the most significant wealth that the country holds. The teachers, the parents, of course, but all the teachers, and yeah, it is so important.
Yeah, we're expected. The teachers expected pretty well to be almost play the role of the parent in a lot of ways, which is disappointing. You think
Yeah.
the parents would take more responsibility and make their own life easier if the kids were happier. And yeah, it's sad.
But saying that, I just your experience being working as a teacher for so long, have you seen a change in parents several years ago until now? Is there a change, or is
Yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. The the parents used to bring their kids to school, and they expected them to learn, and the teachers were the in control and the ones with the wisdom and that type of thing. Bit by bit, that changed to parents. Will, no matter what the kid is doing in the classroom, annoying and bullying other kids and so on, they'll never take responsibility for that behavior, or that it's coming from the home as well, type of thing.
Yeah.
So there's been a big shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, parents are not as responsible as they used to be. And time, I suppose time doesn't permit a lot of the time. Both parents are out working a lot of the time, and the kids are home by themselves a lot. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I
Societies.
I saw the change as well. Even though I haven't worked, yeah, I have actually worked 1 year as a teacher. Just yeah, but I have been in a program. Every mother and father, we have a system FAU. It's kind of parents doing the social and helping children. So I have been in this for 14 years, and 5 of them as leaders. And I did so many tasks, and it was so hard to get other parents to do things. They was kind of no, I have enough, and I have enough. But it's so important to be there for our children to do, because being highly sensitive, we know that everything is affecting. So for me, it was important all the years, kind of. But we have to understand the environment. But a lot of parents, I saw that no, I have enough with myself. I don't care. Do so. It was hard to get people in. We call it in Norway dugnad. It's meaning free work, because of the to have social things, kind of good environment.
Yeah, right.
So my experience is the same as you, that it was harder and harder and harder during the years to get people. I was kind of alone, and I remember when we celebrate our national day and I was the leader and everything went through me, I was so exhausted for this month. I kind of that month was the worst in Norway, because I was kind of a key person and holding everything, and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
But I have walked that path, and it was interesting to see how people were. Yeah, some parents actually hide. They don't pick up the phone. They don't come. So
Right.
yeah. So I understand the frustration as a teacher also.
Yeah, they're taking less and less responsibility for sure. Yeah.
And that is what is required these days, taking responsibility even more than before. We need to take responsibility in our own life, in our children's life.
For sure.
So it requires more of us. Wow. Thank you, Peter, for what you shared, your insight, and all. I loved it.
My pleasure. It's been a blast being on your podcast. Can't wait to look back at it. Mm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another heaven on earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.